All right, here's Clay. I'm going to hand over the mic to Clay before we get started. Let's wait a little bit so everyone gets to join.
Hello, everyone. Just getting things set up.
Are you going to drop anything new today, Clay, for the community?
Nope. All old stuff. Complete rehash. Recycle old content.
Oh my God. Thinking that won't be true.
Yeah, well, we have some new stuff to go over.
Maybe something that I haven't posted yet. We haven't posted yet, hopefully. All right. We're still having people flood in.
I hear you, Mythic. Magic Reflect is my least favorite curse. My squad is not all physical, but it's mostly, the physical reflect too. Both of them. Oof. Yeah, the physical reflect one is the one that's killing me. I think people have spotted Gruff walking around Haven. Just going to give people a minute. I'm actually going to ping MindLoader on messaging on the physical reflect. All right, how we doing? 66 people in. All right, are we good to record, Nelly? Where'd Nelly go? I'm going to assume we are recording then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the August Guild Guardians Town Hall. I've got a fair bit to go over, and then we will go into sort of a fireside chat. Did not have time to prepare full AMA ahead of time, so we'll do this off the cuff, and I will answer what I can when we get there. Slides. By the numbers, where are we at? Getting a lot closer to that 1 million download mark at 864,000. Monthly active buyers for GOG is up about 1,000. We're sitting just above 14K. Monthly active users is down, and we're going to talk about that in the slide after. This is one of the areas that we're really focusing in on with GOG at the moment, which is retention. We've talked about this in previous town halls. Yeah, this focus remains very true. The good news is DREAL1 retention on higher-end Android devices is really good, and iOS retention is really good. We've seen retention across Android being much lower than we would like. We talked about this in the previous town hall, and that has caused us to do a much deeper analysis of basically, all the things Android. Performance is something that we've been looking at for a while. We've already made a lot of performance improvements, and those have brought up the numbers, but we're still seeing, particularly on low-end Android devices, a lot of fall off. This is just the first 15 out of 50. When you start getting to the really low end, retention for D1, which I'm showing here, is even worse. What we really want to do is bring Android and as many Android devices in line with where iOS is. If we can hit there, the game itself is doing what it needs to do in terms of the gameplay, retaining players in our target markets. But if people can't play it because of performance reasons, obviously they're not going to retain. So that's where we're putting in a lot of effort with MindLoader at the moment, in addition to all of the other feature development. We're also looking at continuing to improve the first-time user experience. We're taking a look at potentially refactoring that yet again to further improve that onboarding to increase the D1 retention. The other thing that we've got in our theory box on where retention is at is our three primary regions right now are the US, obviously with English, that's sitting well, the Philippines, and then Brazil. So we'll be looking a little bit at some of our very first translation work into Spanish and Portuguese. We're going to run some A/B tests in Spanish and Portuguese speaking regions to confirm out to that localization is going to have a meaningful impact on our overall retention numbers. Pretty no-brainer, but we've got to confirm it. And that will then unblock a lot more localization into the game, which, again, I think will help with retention overall. Act 2. Yeah, the road ahead on Act 2. I've got a lot of slides here to sort of talk about where we're at on our new Guardian, which marketing has been teasing, which I'm going to just talk a little bit more about, but not spill too much. Where we're at with guild bosses, guild crafting and artifacts, Gruff's Vault, localization, and pets. But yeah, like a high-level overview of a lot of stuff that I know you guys want to see. First thing, new Guardian. Marketing has been teasing. We obviously learned a lot from the Tamamo sale. I think when it comes to this next sale, things are going to be in a much better place. The other thing with the design of this Guardian, we took a deep look at the overall meta, where we needed to, get some additional Guardians in the mix. And this Guardian is absolutely designed to fill a much needed role. I am expecting to use her alongside Flix. But really excited for the release next week. And I'm going to let marketing spoil the rest through their campaign. Guild boss, though. So last time we talked about this at a very high level. And now I'm going to go dive into where this is at in development at the moment. All of this is work in progress. So if you're looking at the screenshots and you're seeing any translations that are not complete, this is all still at the sort of ChatGPT translation stage. At the top level, you're going to have the guild boss. It's going to be set up similar to things like Boss Rush. There's going to be an overall damage amount on the boss. People are going to have energy to go in and fight the boss. Bosses will have, specific skills, and then MindLoader has a guild inspiration system to help further activate the guild against the boss. For guild inspiration, different buffs that the guild leader can activate to help all guild members in their fight against the boss. The reward tables, these are all placeholders. We're not giving out gear in it, but or at least maybe not. But essentially, you're going to be fighting the boss. You will get things that are going to help you just as a regular player, and this is also going to be activating crafting materials that you're going to go use into guild crafting. Players obviously want to get personalized rewards out of it, and then there'll be equipment crafting items that come out of the system as well. Guild crafting is the bigger one. And gonna pause here just to talk a little bit about one of the biggest challenges we've had with the crafting side of it and where we're going at the moment. So we've had the system designed for quite some time now, and we keep butting up against legal when it comes to the original white paper, where zk is at, and what they're essentially approving for us to do in the system. This remains, as a designer, the biggest challenge with Grid Guild crafting. So what we've been doing is we're moving ahead with the development of all of the systems, kind of similar actually to how we approached the development of GOG in Web 2 first. We're going to get everything online, and we're going to continue to work on the legal issues sort of in parallel to that development. But for guild artifacts, you're basically going to have different artifacts that your guild can craft in different rarities. You're gonna start working on the craft once you've got the recipe in place. Each artifact, is going to have various bonuses that they add to your guardians, as well as an artifact skill. Um, the artifact itself, it will have the base, stat components that it adds into the mix. Obviously, Radiance, because it can be minted onto the blockchain. We've got these subcomponents that can be slotted into the mix to add further bonuses, and the artifact itself can be leveled up over time. Guardian slots, in that it's not that each Guardian has an artifact equipped, but rather Guardians are equipped to the artifact, which is a little bit of a different approach to things. Um, so essentially, you'll deploy your Guardians to the artifact when you've crafted and obtained one of these, and they will receive bonuses from the artifact itself. We're trying to, with the artifact, not just have the artifact, but these subcomponents that can also be added into the mix. And then, yeah, for the artifact itself, very much sitting in uh, that same sort of itemization ecosystem. You can, actually do all of the things you could with another piece of gear, salvage them if you want, though I don't think that's going to be happening very often, other than potentially to get some of the subcomponents if all things go forward with the system. Um, but things are coming together. Uh, I know the original goal for both the guild boss, or for the guild boss in particular, was August 14th. Um, I'm thinking we're going to be a little bit delayed on that front, as I haven't had a chance to play through the system completely yet. I will let you guys know as soon as we've got more details on the timing of things. And when we get to the release of Guild Crafting, we'll put up a full Medium article basically on all of the details of the subcomponents. Uh, Guild Boss raids and Guild Crafting may go live at the same time, or if uh, Guild Boss raids are essentially already early, uh, I've proposed basically releasing those ahead of time, because that will let players and guilds acquire the resources to do the crafting. I don't think it's absolutely necessary that they release in sync. And I think getting that start on the guild boss raids to basically stress test that system, allow us to address any issues with it, and get the components to do crafting makes a ton of sense. In terms of localization, like I said, the first two languages are going to be Spanish and Portuguese. Um, all of it is coming along nicely. Uh, the remaining bits here there are still a few sections that from the original translation have been since added, so we need to do some retranslation on those bits so that we get a complete pass, and then it's setting up the A/B tests so that we can get good data on exactly what the translations are doing. Um, GOG. So wow, markets got hammered today. I don't know how in tune people are with the global economy, but this is one of those where it's like, wow, we really are interlinked. Um, it's looking like Japan has caused the cascade with them going out of like negative interest rates and into positive. But wow, everything's hit at the moment. Obviously, GOG is as well. Um, the good news on the GOG staking front is we've got legal approval for our approach to zk staking. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is not a hard staking where you will lock away the GOG and a smart contract, but rather soft. So you'll have a GOG amount that you want to stake. Uh, the system will monitor your wallet to make sure that you remain above that GOG amount. And this lets us not have any custody of the GOG itself, which was a big thing on the legal side of things to keep immutable safe. But will let us have that system of people having the GOG in reserve. Uh, so yeah, soft staking. This is in like out of the design phase into working with our internal team to get everything implemented. But progress has been good on that front. I don't have an exact deadline on when this will launch, but in the not too distant future. And then pets. Uh, MindLoader has pets in order. This is not final scale. This is them being like, hey, we've got all of the models and everything. A lot of the scale is from the original models that had been built, and we're working on getting everything scaled to size so that we've got them the chickadees, the little tiny chicken down at the end. Um, uh, but development is coming along nicely on the pet front. We've also got the 2D art coming well in hand and looking pretty badass uh, as well. So just some spoilers on that front as I'll zing through here. Chicken! So yeah, we've got some that are looking more scary, some that are more cutesy, a little bit of both. Some looking pretty badass. Cockatrice chicken. Um, but yeah, development on pets is moving apace as well. We've been taking advantage of uh, parallel development, so uh, they they aren't waiting for guilds to be complete, but moving ahead. And yeah, pet avatars similar to how when you own a guardian, you can choose it. I think that's totally plausible. I'll talk to mine later about that. Um, and yeah, that was me sort of zinging through at a high level. Wanted to take some time now in the town hall to do something a little bit different. Obviously, I'm playing Guild of Guardians, also looking ahead at the future. Uh, Usually through the AMAs, we get a sense of where, player focus is, player concerns. Um, but yeah, I just want to take some time to actually chat with chat rather than just rush through a ton of questions. So, Gruff's Forge is close. I don't believe it's going to release this week. On the live op schedule, it's scheduled for next. I haven't been able to do a full run through of the Forge myself yet, uh, but it is very close. Um, so I want to take Mythic first. Can we move EXP from hero items to other hero items without desacrificing? Just a little bit of clarity there, Mythic. Are you talking about gear or the Guardians themselves? Wait, away since 2 months ago? What? I did a town hall less than, 2 months ago. Um, it's an interesting question. So yeah, like gear in general, being able to sort of like reset it, versus sacrifice it, I think it's plausible. Um, I'll let me, so I'm actually gonna stop presenting so that I can, switch out and take some notes myself. Give me a sec here. I think it's plausible. I think the original intent, was that we wanted players to salvage, but that wasn't taking into consideration, that particularly for special events, you often wanna move loadouts around. I think that's a larger discussion of how we make that easier, but, yeah, I will take this, to MindLoader and get their thoughts on essentially like an equipment reset versus salvage. So definitely plausible. Uh, Teo, one issue here, the randomization of when you get 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 stars has a farming and replayability that you have to keep creating one. So for instance, I could keep resetting an item and keep going until I get yeah, in terms of like if the the RNG of yeah, the stat that gets upgraded. Definitely. It's almost like what you would have to do is freeze uh the the reset artifact, and then to unfreeze it, you basically have to repay the cost, something like that. Give me one sec, and I will look at guild chat, see where that's sitting on the schedule. I don't have that off the top of my head. Guild chat, I'm gonna have to cycle up with MindLoader. But yeah, like I think a sort of like freezing system, it is plausible for sure. Another big issue, the way things are worded in game, it's impossible to tell what they actually do most of the time. Can we please get better in-game descriptions? It'd be fine even to spend a whole paragraph clarifying if that's needed. Um, could definitely use some examples, uh, but I generally agree that um, yeah, particularly with a lot of the help, there's more we could do to explain how the systems work. Win more dungeon content. So next up on the schedule is Frostmire. Um, Frostmire is in active development right now, currently scheduled for the end of September, um, which will add, on additional worlds into Adventure, and, Frostmire will also be a part of Endless as well. Uh, Sanjuro will Gruff only reroll the main three stats on gear and the stat on exclusive gear, or will he reroll elemental bonuses and special skill? Um, my understanding from the design is that on exclusive gear, you could re-roll the special skill. But I have not been able to test it in the test build yet, so I can't 100% confirm that. Um, Once I get my hands on, like I was hoping that I was going to get my hands on in the test build today, but it is not there. I will let you guys know more details. Buddha, when is the next town hall, or is this monthly? Currently looking at monthly, so essentially one town hall a month to go over details, unless there's, something that's happened that would call for more. It's looking to get it just on a more regular cadence because we had kind of been bouncing around a bit. Updates on pet utility in game, potential breeding. Um, Potentially. I think the big thing on pets right now is getting some of the base system uh, in line and online. Expanding out to things like breeding beyond that, plausible, but not guaranteed. Yeah, so guild bosses, the intent there is essentially your guild can unlock harder and harder bosses to get greater rewards. Yeah, and Ubershade stats, getting more information on that, particularly in the help menus, plausible. Actually, now that I'm seeing Capone Gaming's, getting a full breakdown like that might have to be more of like a Medium article where we go into more detail about all of that. It's a lot of information to get into a mobile game at base. I'm not sure we can do that cleanly in the current design. But getting all that information out there, like you would expect from like a wiki, definitely plausible. Glory to Reborn. When will you revamp Reborn's design? You sold us on a different version of Reborn. It should be a badass human warrior, not a clownish elf. Um, there is no plan to revamp Reborn at the moment. Um, I obviously wasn't on the project when Reborn was initially uh, kicked out. Happy to hear more on the feedback though, but I mean, it's plausible, but definitely not on the list at the moment. Yeah, tier 7 gear will come with Frostmire, essentially. Any plans to prevent Refunder on Web 2 so we can protect GOG ecosystem, price of Guardians go down nonstop? Um, so if price of Guardians is going down, it's not from people abusing the system. I know Apocalypse has been looking at this, but like when it comes to like chargebacks or refunds, like we've done a ton of work, and I know a lot of people have been annoyed at having their ability to purchase, you know, frozen by our automated systems to protect the economy. Right now, we've maybe across both Android and iOS, seen like 100 something, refunds in like the thousand thousands of dollars, uh, microscopic compared to some of our peers in the space. Like I know it's easy to sort of look at that loophole and think that it's this massive ongoing thing, but all the data is pointing to it not being the source of things. Mythic, if you go into more detail about the Frostmire blend with in-game balancing, not quite sure what you're asking there. Uh, yep, more special events are absolutely in the works to be released in the not too distant future. Is it possible to have Guardian's gear not rotate between seasons? Um, I mean, it's possible. It's not the plan right now. Um, I think there's probably a case to be made there that because they do rotate, if we have that rotation schedule, are the exclusive gear something that could be minted to the blockchain so people coming could purchase them? Um, that's one that I'll talk to MindLoader a little bit more about. Let me get a note. Yeah. Can we get a way to direct message guild members and send them inbox mail? Possible? Take a note. Can we not flood the game with new pets to avoid devaluing those of us holding pets for years now? Um, the plan at the moment is to release more pets into the ecosystem, um, similar to what we did with Guardians. Um, I hear the ask. Absolutely. Um, the there is a path ahead where we essentially release first with just the Web3 pets without any Web2 pets in the mix. There's also a path ahead where we release them both together. Um, it's the thing that I'm balancing there as the game director is the Web 2 versus the Web 3, new players, versus the holders. Obviously, we want the holders to um, feel like they made the right choice. Um, I definitely hear the concern. Um, I'm taking a note. Light blue, are you thinking of a way to make newcomers don't feel this far from us playing since day one? I believe that's a big issue to keep new members flowing. It's absolutely front of mind. Like, how do we have the ability for people joining now to catch up. Um, there are a lot of different paths on this. One of those paths is to open up additional servers. That's not my preferred path, but it's essentially the Web2 standard for any game like this, where uh, to sort of solve that problem, they add new servers into the mix to sort of recreate that land rush for anyone who wants to join. I think there are other paths. We've been working with MindLoader with some additional sort of offerings to help people who are new to the game, accelerate to catch up. But yeah, generally agree that it's something that makes it harder for new players uh, as they've got a lot of work to do to catch up. Grim Reaper. So yeah, essentially, Gruff's Vault is through the design phase. We've got legal approval for our design. It's going to be a soft staking system rather than hard, and it's moving into implementation. Will Act 3 be delayed per season of Act 2 and no guild boss yet for leaderboard rewards? Um, so some of what we're trying to do with having pets in active development now is minimize any delay there to try to keep the overhaul schedule as intact as possible. But will there be some delay of Act 3 potentially? Absolutely. Mhm. Is level 10 max for a guild skill? I know I went over this. Not all of them. There's one, if I remember correctly, from July that cannot go to 10, but at the moment, I believe so. Oh god, my Discord chat just scrolled weird. Where was I? Are there any conversations going on in how we can maintain some value in our assets? I get it's a complicated situation, but even without the current market situation, the prices have plummeted. Personally blame cracked hearts for this, and I feel like some people may panic and cut losses instead of sticking around with the game. Snowball effect slightly. I mean, the the biggest thing I believe we can do here is fix retention. Once we address some of the retention challenges, as we're bringing players in, the front of the funnel, more players lead to more demand. Ultimately, it really comes down to demand as one of the biggest drivers overall to maintain value. Um, are there artificial ways we could do it? Potentially. I think the other side of this is, the altar. What can we do to, uh, add more recipes into the mix? One of the things on the docket for the altar is making it far easier to use in terms of crafting recipes. We've got some designs on board that make it more like select the recipe uh, rather than having to like know it just by heart. Um, but yeah, it's complicated. I don't think cracked hearts are to blame though. Um, I think, I mean, again, I think it's complicated, but I think cracked hearts helped on the whole. But I don't think they're enough. I think more So where my brain is going at the moment is one of the challenges that we've seen is when you look at the data, when it comes to like salvaging, sacrificing guardians that are Web 2, people really don't have a problem with it. They do it pretty readily. As soon as somebody turns an asset into an NFT, the rate at which people are sacrificing them basically plummets. Once people have turned it into something that's real, their ability to like mentally let it go, to even if they could, progress in game, through radiancing up, it it diminishes. I think there's a just a challenge of getting people to take something they own and consume it essentially when it comes to NFTs. Like at least we're seeing that data, like the difference between sort of Web 2 and Web 3. Um, the reason I'm bringing that up is it then goes into the conversation about value in the assets. One of the key premises of the overall economy is that when it comes to like the ascension of Web 2 assets to Web 3, it's self-balancing with the minting cost curve and the assets. People should go into Web 3 to purchase up things rather than ascend them. And then people with those Web3 assets should consume them to basically up the radiance of their guardians. Um, that salvaging part of the economy isn't working at the rate that we had expected. So one of the things we have to look at to address the overall market situation is how do we have more sinks in the system that people are willing to sink into? And that may mean looking at either new recipes in the altar or that overall balance that gets people over that hump mentally of sacrificing something. Moonlight, how will you handle guild crafting and the selling or players to keep the crafted item? This is actually the biggest challenge right now around where we're sort of. I would talk about us being stuck with legal of getting systems in place for the guild where when the guild decides to sell a crafted artifact that it's fair. When we had previously chatted in the last town hall, some of that was giving the guild leaders the ability to easily sort of distribute. Uh, that's still my desire, but we keep running into these legal blocks along the way. We're working on it. It's it's something that we're meeting with uh, on the regular to try to get something that essentially resolves it cleanly. I think we as players would really appreciate a progress bar and what is being done. Like, I get sometimes it's hard to give hard release date, but a progress bar just to see what is being done would help so much. Like Gruff's Forge, we could see, okay, 80%, so maybe next week. Um, that's something that I could look at doing for the next town hall, essentially. Maybe getting it to be something more permanent to maintain. It's a little bit more work, but like general status rather than me just verbally doing it, a quick, one-shot look. Any plans to improve any of the guild arena rush stores? That's one. If you've got thoughts on what you'd like to see, definitely drop them into chat. DQuest. I need to check back into DQuest. I will look at DQuest rewards, light blue. Teo, can we get a specialized item to purchase with our guild coins from donations? We are expecting players to spend valuable red gems on a guild that might write them off and kick them one day. I'd like to incentivize players to build their guild regardless if they get kicked or removed. Uh, uh, Let me take a note. Uh, can you dive a little bit deeper into that one, Teo, on what you're thinking? I get the concept at a high level, and I totally see where that's coming from. Definitely plausible. Um, uh, More on Reborn, most expensive hero with lowest utility. Um, uh, and Reborn is trash. Um, I'm getting it. I'll take a look with the design team on balance on Reborn. Yeah, it isn't so easy as just removing Ascension seals from the store. Um, it's something that we have to do for parity. If we only allow Ascension seals on Web3, it's something that Apple and Google could delist us for. Um, so while it seems an easy, like, just don't do that. Um, but we want to be on the Apple and Google Play stores. That's really good for distribution. Will Frostmire be a walk in the park for us coming from grinding Requiem for months? Um, I think for some of the very top players, it may be. Um, I mean, I haven't played the balance of it yet, so I can't say for sure. I do think on the whole, one of the things that I've asked MindLoader to really look at is where players are getting stuck. I think for a lot of players, even like, dolphins and little whales, like that grind through adventure is probably too slow and too hard. Um, it's something that we're looking at. Obviously, we want people to be challenged, and I think that's where, for those of us who have been around for a long time, originally we had like the normal, hard, extreme versions of each of the worlds. I think that system had some good things to it, some bad things to it. The new sort of like challenge tiers of each was supposed to address that, and I think a lot went right with that. Um, I think there's some quality of life things that we can do there, such as rather than having to sweep, each time sweep all. Um, but like having the additional challenge and difficulty be in those is something that we're looking at. Will Live Arena come in the future? Tell me more about the request or what Live Arena you're looking for. Any updates on leaderboard rewards for August as July season is ending tomorrow? That is the top of Howie's list. He's been on vacation, but that should be getting published soon. Uh, will Gen 1 Heroes have a banner? Surprise we haven't seen yet. Uh, can you tell me more what you're talking about there, Benzik? Uh, Zuru, late to join. Is the refunders has been discussed. It's a number and issue need to resolve. Um, Again, like literally just completed diving into this yet again. We're talking about like across the whole player base, across both Android and Apple, like somewhere in the range of 100 refunds or chargebacks over the course of May until now. We're talking around a couple $1,000s. This isn't a rampant issue where we're seeing, like 60% of all Web2 transactions being refunded or charged back, as has happened in some other games. We knew going into Guild of Guardians that it was something we really had to protect against. So we put a lot of effort into our back-end detection of accounts that have the potential to be fraudulent. And we've been really active on shutting off people's ability to use the Web2 stores if it looks like they may be a bad actor. And there's lots of things that we detect, and no, we're not going to tell you what they are. This has led to a number of people, some of the people in this chat who have had their ability to make purchases turned off. We've had to reactivate a lot of people because it's something we're really concerned about. But it isn't crazy active right now. I just want to reiterate that. It is not happening at all, but it's on a very, very small scale that things have slipped through. Yeah, Tasha, I don't know where you're getting your information from, um, but uh, it could we potentially, for a time, turn off Ascension seals and not get delisted? Absolutely. The app stores aren't, they've got so many things on. They're not watching everything all the time. But you've been in the freaking room with the reps and talked about this stuff. So it's not like I'm making this up for fun. Like if for instance, we were seeing like Ascension seals, like we've been talking about, being highly fraudulent, tons of refunds, and abuse in the system, uh, the reps to be like, hey, we really need to deactivate for a time. Please, can we align on this? Probably, but we're not. Um, and like right now, I guess you could say yes, it is absolutely a won't. Like we're not fighting to be able to remove them from the stores. We actually think it's an important pathway, and we're seeing lots of players using it as a pathway to getting into Web3. Like don't forget that Web3 is still really challenging. If they can buy Ascension seals, they can mint things and they can sell them them on. Does that lead to negative pressure in the overall marketplace? Yes, but it also leads to people participating more, getting into that monthly active buyer side of it. Um, but yeah, it's not like, oh yeah, Apple would be absolutely fine if we turned off all of our Web2 purchases and just allowed Web3. Like it wouldn't work. Um, but yeah, like hitting on it again, guild coins, having more uses for them, absolutely something I can look at. Will Web2 pets be similar to heroes, as in founders won't be available ever? So very similar to founders, guardians. We've got some founders pets that we can mint for rewards, but there's no like uh, plans to like resell the founder pets or anything like that moving forward. How many players can the current server handle? It's a good question. I don't know for sure. We haven't hit the limit yet. Um, uh, when it comes to concurrent users all at the same time, in the tens of thousands, exactly where that point falls over, I can't say for sure. It is one of those things too that it's something that we can scale. So, as the number of CCU increases, we can increase the number of instances. It's not like there's a single server in the architecture that we hit a cap on and then we're done. Even right now, there are multiple subservers that service the game. So, like in terms of scale, we've got a lot of place yet to go. Um, Buddha asks, can we also be summon pets in Web 2 and make them Web 3 using ascension seals or just available only Web 3? Current plan, not necessarily at pet launch, but is to have additional Web 2 pets that players can ascend. Uh, if that is not Portuguese, it could be like I do not speak Portuguese. It could be that MindLoader mislabeled when they sent me over the screenshots. Uh, or did I drop the Spanish in the wrong one? I didn't replace the Portuguese slide with it's the Spanish slide. Apologies, my mistake. Ubershade suggests a tier system. Plausible. It sounds a little complex though. Yeah, and I agree that like Web3 makes new servers more tricky because anybody who's got, 15 star heroes can go to the new server and have a huge advantage. Um, it does mitigate a lot of the sort of just general progression advancement though. So like even a new player, in theory, on a new server could also go buy those artifacts or guardians. Um, it could be worth experimenting with at some point. Um, I'm I'm not sure. It hasn't really been done as far as I'm aware. It would be a first, but it may be worth running that experiment just to see what happens. Woody asks, "What are your thoughts on the current state of Endless?" Um, I'm happier with where Endless is at in like the level of engagement. It's something we've been talking about ever since regional test launch about the amount of time. Um, I want GOG to be something that takes a fairly reasonable amount of time each day to engage with. The new sort of like spending multiple tickets on a single run, I think has helped that a lot. I think one of the next areas for Endless, though, is some of the plan with Endless originally was a lot more variance in uh, the meta of Endless. And to get there, we need more curses in the mix. The room modifiers do a little bit of that work. But one of the things I've talked with MindLoader about is actually looking at moving more of the room modifiers into curses. Um, uh, and having a more curse-heavy meta, but having the curses not be quite so brutal. We've already made progress on toning down some of the curses on that front. But yeah, some of the curses right now, I think, just go too far. Resetting to zero energy, probably too far. I I think that's one where it's like, does it start you at half? It sucks then, but still at zero, in many cases, you're never going to have energy to spend on your ultimates. It just takes ultimates out of the equation. On others, there's one like the crit reducing uh, energy. I think that one's probably a little bit too brutal as well because you need full energy to go execute your ultimate. It's essentially saying ultimates are taken out of the equation. So when it comes to Endless, I think looking at the curses, developing more curses that diversify things overall, where they're not quite so brutal, is pretty high on my list of where I'd like to take things. For staking, will there be any ties, boosts, etc., to NFT ownership, quantity, and quality? Um, Not in V1. Is it a place that we could potentially go? Absolutely, um, but not in V1. Will guild events become better in the future, like average score of top 10 players, since we can't compete to a 50-player guild, which is unfair? Endless Run should give XP scrolls and gold chest, also each floor. It's the mode we spend the most time on in game and isn't rewarding enough, if you ask me. Um, Hear the feedback on endless rewards. Agree that it is, statistically where players spend the most time. So looking at what comes out of there, I think if it gave XP scrolls, that might address some of the challenge with essentially where XP distribution is at the moment. You really have your top five guardians, and that's it. It's definitely a problem that we need to solve on the whole. Um, yeah, I see the feedback. Tricky on the guilds, but definitely something that when the event uh, initially came together, I saw as well. Some of it was like, hey, is that an advantage, just for the mythic guilds? They're a lot more expensive than the lower tier guilds. I suppose with 50 players in the guild, the chance that your top 10 players are better is higher. Actually curious to see some feedback on like for guild events, what other guild leaders would like to see. Mythic, are you aware that you and Mindlord are doing a great job, even though everything hasn't been 100% perfect? This is a hard one. I think it's human nature to see where you would like to be doing things better. Um, uh, I know I've been really concerned with overall retention. I have looked at things like, hey, for the game as a whole, in the mobile space, like we're doing pretty good. I think the one actually that's helped with this the most overall with where MindLoader and the team at Immutable have been at was Supercell released a game recently, Squad Busters, that I played a fair bit just for research. And uh, our iOS retention D30 is better than theirs, and this is Supercell. They've got way more people, way more time, uh, way more data. God, I would die for their data analytics. And yeah, making really compelling long-term sticking games is hard. And we've done a lot in a very short period of time. Um, I am aware that MindLoader is doing a great job. I will continue to sing their praises. I absolutely love working with them. Um, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go as we're able to complete more of the overall design. Like, I'll be the first to say we released before, things were complete. It was important to Immutable's overall strategy to get, Guild of Guardians out there and start to help kickstarting the ZKVM ecosystem. There is that sort of challenge overall of meeting the needs of Guild of Guardians and meeting the needs of Immutable. Um, but I am pretty happy with a lot of what we've done. I wanna do so much more though, so it's hard to maintain that perspective of, like, how we're doing. I just see the things often of what I want us to be doing. Um, are over time, but I keep going for a little bit more because I don't think I have a next meeting just yet. Let me just double check really quick. Yeah, I've got a little bit of time. Uh, Tomahawk. Thank you for asking this question. What about a game mode that puts everyone on par? Everyone creates a squad from the same available pool of same level guardians to run a dungeon, fight a boss, whatever. This will allow players to test guardians that they could buy and allow to put a spotlight on tactically really good new players. Um, we've got promises that were made, not by me, that we have to fulfill. Like, and that's a lot of what we're trying to get through in this next bit. But something that I've always really believed strongly in, when it comes to gaming is the power of essentially, like, sealed and limited events. Events where you can sort of showcase your skill based off of the strategic and tactical choices that you make. Having a sealed or limited style event where, you're like, one of the things off the top of my head is you join an event. There are 8 other players in the event. You each open a pack of guardians. You get to pick your first guardian, and then you pass the pack. And from that, you build out your pool of probably 10 guardians, and each of those guardians is the same level. um, which guardians you choose to run, be it in PvP, be it in an endless to go defeat each battle. Like, there's lots of potential on that side. Um, so yes, definitely something that's top of mind for me of where I would like to get to in time. I think that opens up additional, just possibility space in the overall competitive and leaderboard landscape. Obviously, it doesn't speak well to like the the utility of NFTs in that mix. But there's a lot of potential, particularly for new players, in an event like that. To that end, um, we're testing it tomorrow, but for the upcoming sale, we're looking at essentially trialing the new Guardian, so anybody can use that Guardian to experiment with how they play for them. I think it's going to be a good way, similar to this, to give players exposure. That's something that we can potentially expand a lot beyond that. Uh, yeah, Beige, we talked a little bit about potential catch-up system. Oh my God, I'm at 10:38. I'm like so far behind where chat is. Sorry, guys. Um, really catching up. Um, we're currently in a recession for red diamonds. Any comments on that? Um, I'm gonna skip ahead because I do need to start wrapping things up. Um, Curious for more on that one, and apologies for all the people I've missed. But yeah, talk to me about the recession mythic. Thanks, Woody, for the clarification. Yeah, it is a. I mean, it's part of like the design of, you get new players in. We're pretty generous with a whole bunch of resources, and then over time, that mitigates some. Um, it's a balance. I know in Web3, there's always the conflict of, the game needs to stand on its own. It needs to be profitable, and then you've got the whole Web3 economy, and there's the challenge of balancing those two out. Um, Definitely happy to chat more on the Ruby economy. It is something that we're looking at, of what we can do to add more rubies earn into some places like Endless, to balance things out better. Um, it's definitely not on mind if you want the triple negative. Queuing to live PvP would be nice instead of idle auto battle, maybe. Is a lot more complicated. Uh, would that be plausible? It's something I'd have to talk with MindLoader about. Um, Potentially. It wouldn't be near term though to go to live PvP. I did scroll back a little bit. So one last question. Senjuro asks, what about a merge system like GU for Web3 heroes languishing on the market, but instead of Chroma, maybe fill the altar with rares, 9 rares, um, uh, for a chance to, upgrade, roll into something else. Um, Absolutely plausible. Where this is some of what I was talking about earlier in the conversation of looking at additional altar recipes um, to create more sinks in the overall economy. Um, I think it's something that the game absolutely needs. Exactly what those recipes would be, exactly what they would offer, is sort of on the table. One of the useful pieces of tech that we've gotten into the altar is the ability to do more than ascension seals. So, in Ares Store, in terms of GOG utility, offering up more bundles via Web3 that lead to wanted Web2 assets, be it scrolls, faction souls, whatever. If you guys have any SKUs that you would be looking for to spend your GOG on, definitely let us know. Um, but yeah, also on this side in the altar, we could do the same, where sacrifice 9 rare guardians for a chance at any number of potential outputs. One of the challenges with the original altar design is it can give out uh, a thing or multiple of a thing. So I can give you, multiple guardians out of it of different chroma potentially. But giving you guardians and faction souls and legendary scrolls out of the altar right now is something that we need to add new functionality for, but also plausible in the mix. Definitely something we're looking at. Hey, no, thank you so much for the good description of it. Uh, just for a little bit more on like the Ruby economy. Shout out to is he in the chat? Is he going to hear this? Yeah, he's there. Shout out to Apocalypse Stew for uh, all of the info he's bringing from the community through to the dev team. The balance of rubies is absolutely something that we're talking with MindLoader about. Um, I can't tell you exactly what the outcome of those discussions will be, but this is exactly it. It's looking at all the places that each day players who are, just really engaged, all the places they're spending rubies each day, and uh, all of the places that they're earning each day, and where that balance is at, and yeah, what it takes to sort of keep up, so to speak. Another, I guess that's another potential alter recipe. Go sack some guardians for rubies. Um, Thank you, everybody. I know this town hall was not as orged as some. Good news on that front. We have a community manager starting in the very near future, which will help out on that front in terms of getting AMA questions for me to go dive into ahead of time. And uh, for those of you who weren't aware, I was on a very much needed vacation. I got 2 desperately needed weeks with family. Got to catch up with my father, who I haven't seen in over 6 years. It was lovely. I'm feeling so energized after taking the break. But I'm still catching up on everything that happened in those 2 weeks. So yeah, this was just really a high-level overview. I will be diving more into guild crafting and bosses specifically. It, uh, as those systems come online and I'm able to play them more, I will definitely keep you posted on how they're taking shape. Yeah, and it was recorded. Everything will show up on the YouTubes, I believe, in the not too distant future. But thank you, everybody. I will catch you in the Discords. Cheers.